Thank you. Good morning. We're excited to be here. So I'm Cynthia Lambert, and I'm an assistant professor and associate dean at the University of Kentucky College of Public Health. So you may wonder how I get to be here. But I'm one of your community partners. You're going to hear from community partners today. And that is, I've been involved in the preparedness arena for a long time. In fact, back in 2001, I did the first statewide needs assessment for what kind of training we needed in the preparedness arena for public health. Currently, we have a contract with the state where we provide preparedness information to long-term care facilities throughout the state. So when the operations center goes up here, we many times are contacted or on call to help with those long-term care facilities. So that's my background. I'll weave a little bit more into my presentation, but Michelle?
Michelle Hamilton. I work with Hilton County Emergency Management and Kentucky Emergency Management, and just do a little bit of everything. Maybe not an expert at anything, but a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I don't think I'm an expert at anything either, but when people call you professor, I think it's supposed to mean that, but I'm not so sure. So, like any good professor though, let's start off with the definition of what is social media. And we're going to go to the web to do that, and so we pulled the definition from Wikipedia, which is the interaction among people in which they create, share, and or exchange information and ideas. So that's what we're going to talk about today. One of the things that I want to say about social media is that this is not new. This is not a new innovation. We somehow keep referring to it in this way. It's been around for 10 years. And so if you're not using some of this, you're definitely not an early adopter. All right, we're well into this realm. It is changing continually. And I shared with Michelle, for years back in early 2000s, I was asked to do social media presentation after social media presentation. And it got really tiring for me because I could never use the same information because it was changing so quickly that I had to really update my presentation, almost start over every time I did a presentation. So let's talk about the types of social media. The first category is social networking, and this includes things like Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest. How many of you in the room are using at least one of those personally? How many of you are using it for work-related? Great. All right, let's go down the list. So we've got some people that are just as much experts as we are in the room. What about microblogs and blogs? Are you using Twitter, Tumblr, Blogger, or WordPress? How many of you use that on a personal level? And what about in your work? Again, great. Oh, well, I think we're going to learn together today. We've got a lot of experts in the room. And then the last category is what we call photo or video sharing. Although I must say that, to be honest, some of these cross the boundary and include that social networking. Yes, people on Instagram, they see that as almost an option to Facebook, and that it is photo sharing, but there's still communities and things that exist. But how many of you use Instagram or YouTube or Vine or Flickr for those type of things? Again, personally, and what about work-wise? Okay, well, in each instance, some hands went down as far as your application here at work, but those are the types of things that we're going to talk about today. And there's 100 more. We're talking about the most popular ones. And one of the things that I see as a professor at the university is that these young kids that I'm teaching, particularly the undergrads, they're constantly migrating to something new because they're looking for somewhere their parents aren't. Okay, so they're not using Facebook as much because not only their parents, but their grandparents are on Facebook liking everything that they post. So they're looking for some new options to share their social, and the latest one that they had me download is called Yik Yak. Totally ridiculous. I wouldn't recommend it, but anyway. So just a year ago, this is what we captured, and this is every 60 seconds. And I know you've seen charts like this before, but it's just amazing how much time we spend online. And that's because we all are carrying around these little things. I'm lucky, I only have one. As a non-governmental employee, I do use this for both my work and personal, which means that I am at risk to be the lady from the Red Cross who accidentally accessed the wrong account and was talking about what she needed to go have to drink instead of what was going on with the disaster she was responding to. But this is some of the social media platforms that we're talking about. You can see like just this is 1 minute, that, 83,000 sales in Amazon, 11,000 professional searches on LinkedIn. My oldest son is a headhunter. He uses LinkedIn all day long, looking for candidates for jobs. So if you're thinking about a new job and you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. You need to get a lot of connections because that's how it's happening nowadays. Those kind of things. And Michelle's going to go into a lot more detail about Twitter and Facebook because we use those a lot in emergency response. So I'm not going to talk about those things. And then this is 2014. And what you notice is that there are some new players. Vine didn't exist. Vine is a perfect example of what the younger kids are gravitating to, these short little videos that they send. They're also using Snapchat, which are videos that disappear supposedly, although you can do a screenshot, so you have to be careful. I'm sure you've seen some things in the news about that. So at the university, we monitor a lot of these social media channels. We also monitor traditional media channels, and we do that. We have contracts with Homeland Security, we have contracts with CDC, we have contracts with the FDA, and what we're looking for is the fidelity of messages. And that's one of the things that we want to talk about today with regard to preparedness. In other words, we want to make sure that the right message, the accurate message is getting out to people. And then we also want to use this to monitor. But we actually, not in real time, are giving that information, for example, to the CDC, but for their after action reports or to the FDA. So when the salmonella outbreak happened, we were monitoring to see if the mainstream media gave the right information. Did it give people the actionable information that they needed to make a difference in those product reports? Okay. Same thing with the water contamination in West Virginia. I did a social media or social networking analysis of that, and we saw that all of the federal partners connected on Twitter, and all of the state and local partners are connected on Twitter, but they weren't following each other between federal and local. And then there was this really weird thing that one of my students was very surprised about, and I said, I'm not surprised, and that is none of them were following the governor. Well, the governor didn't have an official account, and so probably by their policies, they weren't allowed to follow him. Does that make sense? We're going to talk about the numbers. He was just a name. And so he was not connected to any thing that they're doing water that not only couldn't, this was not a boil water. This was you could use the water for anything other than flushing in a situation earlier this year. So I'm going to let Michelle go into detail about Twitter. Yeah.
Twitter, oh my. 1 billion plus users, 225 million, 500 million tweets a day. It's a little popular. 140 characters max. It's short, it's sweet, it's 2 points. Fast follow. I'm not a huge Twitter person. You cannot deny its power. One of my favorite things that we found out early on Twitter is that you don't have to have a Twitter account to have a fast follow. Hamilton County, when the river goes up, it's a big deal. I was in 1997 flood, and when the river goes up, I get scared so everybody else does. In 1997, I would have loved to have known exactly what to do, but we didn't have any kind of communication then. Fast follow. If you don't have, in Hamilton County anyway, if some people don't even have a car, they have a system with text messages. And that's all you have to have to do fast follow. So it's very simple. Like a road department guy, they love my Twitter messages. Our county emergency manager, Mike Moore, he puts them out, and it's so close explosion because of high water, whatever it is, everybody gets an immediate text on their phone. All they have to do is bring up the text message and text the words, this is KYPIO, that's for Kentucky Emergency Management, our system code, and name of Hamilton County, to the number 40404. 40404 are always their number. And we have to have a turnaround, and that's the biggest thing for our residents in Hamilton County and our people on Kentucky Emergency Management. You do not have a Twitter account. You just not have information with your account. You just text that information in, and you will immediately start on your text messages. On your text, been very, very popular. Been very, very popular about that. I'll tell you a story about that. So a tweet breakdown. When I first saw Twitter, this confused me, and I honestly didn't like it very much because I don't like tweets. But it's really not as hard. It's really not as hard as it. You kind of break it down here a little bit. Handle, name, at FEMA. There's your hashtag. Hashtag is just giving something a category. So if I want to be able to find it later, just filing cabinet or a category, file on your computer, I'm going to put a hashtag with it. And you can go find where other people are talking about that or other photos. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter also have hashtags. At your mention here, if let's say on this one it was Craig Fugate. FEMA tweeted this, maybe you want to point back to the source. Maybe this came from Fugate. In this case, where it came from, so you can tap on it. Maybe you want to start following them. So that's all I mentioned is kind of cite your source, or you can just go back and start following the mention there. And then a short link. Know about links. Tap on it, click on it, and go directly to that website. So it's not really as hard and confusing as it originally looked. Facebook, incredibly popular. 1.32 billion active users, 40 minutes a day. That'll be average day that people spend on Facebook. I'm sure there are people who spend a lot more time than that on Facebook. 10 billion pictures uploaded a month, which is incredible. 81.7% of the users are outside the United States. So 81% are outside the United States. That just makes me wonder, because you think we have a huge amount. Look everywhere else. We're not the only ones. Facebook's back. Government agencies are required to link back to your website. Facebook doesn't really take place in the website. It still really need a place to start all your information. Websites are still valid and they are still useful. So on Facebook, you want to have that link to your website. Pages are open to the public. On Facebook, you can create different groups, closed groups, open group pages. You will want to do a page. You want to do something that you want public, because that way, anybody who does not have a Facebook account can still get your information. You can embed a Facebook account on a website where people don't even have to go to Facebook. There are some people who just don't want to go to Facebook. They don't want to look at the advertisements. They don't want to look at the garbage on Facebook. So if you just have a page, you can embed that somewhere else and they don't have to go there. This is probably like my favorite thing to talk about, because it's the thing I don't like the most. Because of the newsfeed algorithm, and this used to be called the EdgeRank algorithm, not every post shows up in the newsfeed. So if you've got 1,000 people that like your page and you put a post on there, it is highly likely that only 15 to 20 people, that it's going to show up in 15 to 20 people's newsfeed. Facebook wants to make money. So you can pay them money, like $5 will boost your post up to 30 more people, and less people engage, like, comment, or share, engage on that Facebook post. So you've got to be very careful that Facebook isn't the only way that you're getting out information. You need to have more than one way to get out your information. Facebook isn't going to cut it for everybody.
So we're going to switch gears just a little bit, and we've been talking about how we get information out to people and interact with them. But another important piece of using social media for preparedness is to monitor. And we really need to monitor social media, because in this example that I have up here from New York, this person is seeing this before the first responders are on site. And so they've actually taken this, snapped a picture, and posted this before any of us have arrived. And so this can be important information to those first responders. This can be important information to other parts of our network to know what's going on, how big it is, what the what it actually looks like. And so we have this great thing because everybody's carrying around a phone that's also a camera where we have thousands of eyes on everything all the time, you know. And so then the second tweet that we're seeing here, person saying not a good time to be on Queensboro Bridge. And as you can see now, we've got all first responders there and they're taking a picture of this, which we all know that we're all being monitored by cameras all the time now. And so this is the other thing, when we're doing our jobs, we want to make sure that we're not doing anything inappropriate. Because someone can be snapping your picture. So we're not going to be cracking jokes over, people when someone's laying on the ground or whatever, that would, could be interpreted the wrong way through a tweet, that type of thing. And then the last tweet, Michelle and I talked about this a lot because there's something up there that we would definitely not want to retweet because I don't think that means who tweeted first. Okay, the WTF. And so this is another point that you want to make sure that, because sometimes you might, or even personally retweet something, you need to be sure that you're not putting something in there that's inappropriate for you based on your position in our state. So people are going to use all kinds of hashtags. So we'll talk more about that. But this is another reason. So this is just like a campaign. We want to assess the success or failure of our public messaging. So this is a public messaging trying to encourage people to get their flu vaccines. And again, we show the tweet like you would expect it. We're using a hashtag, which is #flu. We use that frequently. We're linking back to the webpage at newyork.gov. And then we also have a way to text flu to 877-877, which is a designation that they use to get more information. So this is really great, right? So this is what we've put out there, but then this is what people are responding. And again, I left some things up here that might be objectionable to some people in the room. This is going to happen. You're going to have somebody that isn't even commenting on your message. They're making a comment on the picture that you used or something that was said. We have people here that are saying, why are you, quit poisoning and lying to people about the flu vaccine, okay? And so again, we as the governmental agency come back in a very appropriate way, and we've said, we understand your concerns. Please visit this page for more information on flu vaccine and safety. And so we ignore that which is inappropriate, and we respond to those things that we can provide more information. So you have to know going into this that people are going to post things that you find objectionable. Now, if it's completely objectionable, you can report it, meaning that you can say that this should not be here. Same thing with Facebook. There's a way for you to say that this is inappropriate. It should not be in our feed. But we're using this to assess whether that public messaging is working or not.
Rumor control. This is very, very important in Pendleton County, and specifically in Falmouth, again, where I live. In this flood, again in '97, I wish we had had this. But when it does rain in Falmouth, and it rains a lot, people get very, very scared. Lots of people came back to live in Falmouth, like me, couldn't afford to live somewhere else. Lots of businesses are in Falmouth. When the river starts to go up, people worry about being evacuated. They worry about the Cave Run. Cave Run Dam comes down into through Falmouth. And so the rumor has always been, they're letting off the Cave Run Dam. They're going to open it up. Falmouth is going to flood. It's a big deal every time that it rains a lot. So a couple of years ago, I was down at the local beauty shop getting all fixed up. And you know how beauty shops are sometimes. There's quite a few women in there, and there's quite a bit of this going on. So there was quite a bit of this going on. And they were all going on and on about the river. And I'm sitting there, I'm in this job, this position at this time, and I'm just kind of sitting there listening to everybody. Oh, I hear the cave. They're going to open up Cave Run. We're going to be evacuated. All this stuff going on. And we had already implemented our fast follow. We already had a lot of people using our text messaging. We didn't even call it Twitter at the time when this first started because Twitter was too scary for everybody. We just called it text alerts. And honestly, we still call it text alerts because Twitter is still scary to some people. And you just do what's the easiest and what's the best. Well, my little beautician, bless her heart, turned around to the entire room full of women and said, that is not true. If that were true, I would have gotten a text message. Well, bravo. Thank you. I didn't say a word. I didn't end up saying a word about any of it, and the talk immediately stopped. So we started using this fast follow, and we had our Facebook account, and we had this text messaging going out. Our call volume at the dispatch center and with emergency management went way, way down. So it is a fantastic way to stop the rumors immediately, just pretty much immediately. I like my beauty shop story. You all can, some of you can identify with that. Becoming the official source. Again, you want to establish all this information, all this trust, all this way of getting it out there before you need it. So you want to become the official source. And as you can see here, this is a Facebook message Kentucky Emergency Management had put out. Actually, Buddy had put this out. And he was talking about the weather. I like this comment down here. For some reason, I trust your post more than others. Thanks for keeping us up to date. Again, you establish that way before an event happens. So if you're not already doing social media, our goal here is to get you going now. Get it ready before something does happen.
So again, on monitoring social media, this is really a good way for us to detect public need for requests and help. One of the things that we've seen, particularly in widespread disasters like Hurricane Katrina and Sandy, is that this is used because this is the only thing that's working. So in other words, people may not, their cable may be out, they may not even have regular landline phone service, but we have the smartphone, we have the ability to text, we have the ability to tweet. And so, and in fact, I had somebody ask me about that the other day. They're saying, well, your phone needs to be charged on electricity. And I said, oh, I have a hand crank for my smartphone. And they're like, oh, what? I said, yeah, it's in my Go Pack. And they're like, you're what? So we just got into an entire conversation about preparedness and that, got that bright red orange pack down in the basement that's ready to pick up and go anytime I need to do that. And it's got a hand crank in there for my smartphone, right? So anyway. But this is an example of monitoring where we actually are seeing, children are reported trapped in the basement and need help, and they're sending this to the fire department in New York saying this is, somebody needs your help, and so we're monitoring this real time to see where there might need to be responses. Yeah, I think that died. Can you hear me at all back there? You locked me? Okay. I don't know about the recording. So we're going to talk about how you monitor.
Well,
Do you need us to stop, or are we good?
No, you're good.
Okay.
We can hear you down here. You just might have to speak up for the folks in the
Okay.
back of the room.
Okay. Going to talk a little bit about monitoring tools. Are we good? Sound wise? A little louder?
Oh, he's got it back. Woo-hoo. I guess he had a hand crank for the microphone.
Guard to the rescue.
We need a 9-volt battery though.
Talk about monitoring tools. Hootsuite, Geopedia, Topsy. I prefer Hootsuite. There's also TweetDeck. There's different things you can use, but in my opinion, by far, Hootsuite is the way to go. If you don't particularly like looking at Facebook, like we talked about before, you use Hootsuite, and you can just make different columns for exactly what you want to see without any of the advertisements that Facebook can put up there. You can see Instagram searches on there. Search for your hashtags from Twitter, from a lot of different apps. It's very, very versatile. You can have your multiple monitoring streams. I usually keep about 6 or 7 up. So you can look at Kentucky Emergency Management. I can look at Pendleton County Emergency Management. I can look at the Twitter accounts, Instagram. Scheduling Hootsuite. If you find out that maybe 7 p.m. is a really good time to tweet something out, you don't have to be at work at 7 p.m. to send that out. You just schedule yourself during the workday to send a message out at 7 p.m., 7 a.m. You can schedule 5 or 6 different events. And just kind of a funny thing that happened recently, human error does happen when you're scheduling things. I don't know, if you follow Kentucky Emergency Management, our Twitter account, or the Facebook, but we did an earthquake drill recently, and it scheduled itself for some reason. I'm sure we did it, but over and over again, like 5 straight days, twice a day, people got the message about the earthquake stuff. So there are human errors that happen with it. It was kind of funny. It was like, stop it, but it finally quit. Cross-posting on different accounts. It works on Apple's, it works on everything, Windows, Android. Thank you very much. Hootsuite just works. And you can manage a social media team. More than one person can be signed into the account. I share an account with Pendleton County, and I share an account with Kentucky Emergency Management. So if Buddy's busy, if Mike is busy, then I can get in there and I can make the post. They can do their own thing. Very, very versatile tool.
So the last thing that we want to talk about, second to last, I guess, is this thing called the hashtag. And these are some things that we need to keep in mind. And one of the things that I have asked, from a preparedness point of view, is that we need to name things. In other words, we need to be out there quickly with that hashtag. So one of the suggestions I made to the state is anytime the operations center goes up, we need to choose a hashtag for that. Because if we don't, other people will name it and it might be something we don't want to be using, okay? So it needs to be memorable. It should be short and simple. Sometimes you see these hashtags that are, what's the story of Morning Glory all run together, and it's like, what in the world is that about? But we should try to keep them short and simple. They need to be relevant. We should use it over and over and over so more and more people are seeing that and be consistent with it. And then the thing on the right-hand side that says research, research, research is really important. You can't just make up a hashtag without looking to see if it's already being used, because it could be being used by somebody about something totally different. So particularly if you're using an acronym, that could mean something totally different than your organization. You have to be careful. To do this, you're going to go on Instagram and Twitter and these, and you can use Hootsuite to do this. It's probably the easiest way to do it. To look up that hashtag that you're thinking of using and seeing if somebody else is using it that has to do with artwork or something that would be totally irrelevant to what we're trying to do in the preparedness world. So the last thing that I want to talk about is that, we've always said in preparedness, you don't want to be introducing yourself over the sandbags. And this so applies to social media. You have to have a presence when the weather's good on those blue sky days. You have to have a presence where people find value in following you when there's not a disaster. Now, does this mean that people won't unfollow you? They will. In fact, people will unfollow you and then they'll follow you again. So in other words, I'm sure we're going to hear from some community partners. I'm sure that some of the preparedness groups are followed more in our winter months because people are more concerned about these things when our weather is bad and we're worrying about ice storms and floods and these type of things. But some of the things that we want to do when the weather is nice is we want to tell them about events that are coming up. We want to give them agency information. This is how you drive people to your website to see the resources that you have. If we're doing exercises, this is perfect. I happen to be in California during the Great Shakeout, which is their earthquake exercise, and so I got to participate in that this year. It was really fun to have all of that tweets and to follow all of that and to see the pictures of all the school kids, ducking underneath their desks and this type of thing. And we also want to do frequently asked questions. This is a good place to do rumor control, these kind of things. So you can't just use this for we're in the middle of an event. Otherwise, you won't be a trusted source. And you need to make sure that there's content all the time to do that. So before we turn things over we've got just a couple more minutes. I want to challenge those of you in the room. I'm sure some of you are thinking, wow, this is really great, but where am I going to find the time to do this? Anybody thinking that right now? Absolutely. Because you're responders. A lot of you in the room are, you have to, when you come to work in the morning, your day can change like that, right? And we're asking you to do this entire thing. I would challenge you as you hear the presentations today to try to view this as how this tool could make your job easier. I didn't believe that. I'll be really honest with you. When I first downloaded Twitter, I thought, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. How in the world would I use this, and how can I cut down what I say to 140 characters? Okay, I'm a professor. Are you kidding me? How do I make what I have to say fit in that short? And like every time I tried to do a tweet, oh my gosh, it was like, let's see, what word can I take out? I was constantly being over the limit, okay? And then I started following other people on, oh, this is how you do this. This is a headline. This is what you use to, you read the headline in the newspaper and then you decide whether you read the rest of the story, except now you hit click, and you go to their website and you get all of that information. But I challenge you to think about how we can use this. We can't ignore it. It's an important part of what we do in preparedness. And in my role, working with young people, they don't have TVs. This may surprise you, okay? Cable is too expensive for them. They do not have televisions in their home. They are doing everything on a laptop computer or a tablet and a smartphone. So if they're watching TV shows, they're not doing it real time. They're using like Hulu or they're using Netflix to be entertained. And so we've got to use this because radio and TV may not be in a lot of people's homes, both because they choose that or they may not be able to afford that. So anyway, I think you're going to enjoy today. And I think, do you have anything else you want to say before we're done? We'll turn things over to Kirk and he's going to talk about types of information.